Alright, so to get started, let's go over the API page. So to get to this page, you would go to developer.bentley.com/APIs synchronization, or you could go over to documentation, scroll down to the synchronization section, and you'll see the synchronization link right here. Once you get to the API page, you'll see that we have these different categories of calls. Now, these calls cover the two workflows that we talked about, the manifest workflow and the storage workflow. Just a quick recap. The storage workflow is when we use iTwin storage to upload our design files and then we synchronize from there. And the manifest workflow is when we use an external DMS like Azure Blob Storage or SharePoint, and we directly synchronize our files using pre-authenticated URLs. So both these workflows have two types of calls, the connection calls and source file calls. Now, if you remember what a connection is, it is a set of design files that we're synchronizing, an iModel that we're synchronizing into, and the connectors that help us transform the data. A connection is an actual object within the Synchronization API that we can manage, that we can create. And these connection calls help us create our connections, delete connections, run our connections. So these are all the commands related to connections. And once we create a connection, you might want to make changes to it later. For example, you may want to add files to it. You might want to remove design files from it. So if that happens, then these source file calls come into play. So these source file calls have the ability to add or remove source files or update source files within a connection. So that's what these two types of categories of calls are. Now, one more call that I want to talk about is the authorization. There's a get authorization information, which gets a refresh token. Now, this is a deeper topic, and it's a very key one when it comes to Synchronization API. So we're going to give it special attention in the next video and also talk about general authorization in the API. So let's do that next.